What's happening, guys? Rules for Rebels here, and today we have a really special episode of the Side Hustle series. So Side Hustle series, episode 11, and there's a couple reasons why I think you're really going to like today's episode. First, it involves yours truly. It's one of my side hustle stories, and I think that's kind of cool because you guys know me. I think that makes the story a little bit more relatable. Every week when we discuss these side hustle stories, they're about real people. You know, Amanda from Massachusetts with the ketogenic cookbook, Max from Scotland with the Fish Tank Bank, the affiliate marketing site. All of these are real stories, but you know, I think you can make more of a connection with me. You guys know me, you guys see me here, you know, several times a week. I think it makes it a little bit more relatable. And number two, the reason why I think you're going to like this side hustle series is it's a bonus episode. So we're going to be covering two different side hustles of mine in the same video, and these side hustles are very closely related. Basically, what started off as like a one-time hustle that I really didn't think I would continue with, or really didn't think it would grow into anything else, wound up growing into a business that lasted several years. And the other thing that's kind of cool about today's side hustle is, again, something that I started that I thought might be a one-time activity or something I might do a couple times, and something that was kind of a local business, the same way that like picking up scrap metal or something like that would be. How something that started off local and pretty much completely offline wound up turning into an online business, which grew to ebooks, digital courses and teaching materials, and a full-blown blog and website. So I think that's why today's episode is kind of cool. Is A, it involves me. B, you're getting 2-for-1 side hustles today. And then 3, or lastly, it's about how one business or one side hustle can grow into something else. And I think that's a really cool thing about side hustles. They're very quick and easy to get started. And what you start off doing may wind up sending you in another direction, or may spur an idea, or may wind up growing into something much larger, or even something completely different than what you initially started off with. But you probably would have never gotten to that end result without doing that small side hustle to get you started. So I think that's why today's episode is really cool. I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. And without further ado, guys, let's get into it. Hey guys, Side Hustling, episode 11. So hey guys, as I alluded to in today's story is about one of my personal side hustles, one of my earlier side hustles. And in this series, I'm going to be touching on some more of those as we go along. Today's side hustle that we're going to talk about, one of mine, is a side hustle which started as something which I thought I would do maybe one time to make a couple bucks, but something which led to and wound up becoming a multi-year long side hustle, and transformed from something I was doing locally as a Craigslist side hustle into ebooks, digital courses, a website and blog, and pretty much something completely online and completely digital and completely different than what it started as. So I'd been out of college for a couple years. A lot of my buddies had settled into careers, and I was working for an online advertising agency startup, which was great. Then moved on to a job at Orbitz for 3 days before deciding I'd be miserable in that corporate environment and walking out. And I'd gotten into kind of a retail job making like $13 an hour without much room for advancement. I needed some extra cash, and I was scraping by check to check. And having always been somewhat entrepreneurial on a smaller scale with side hustles, I was looking to get something going outside of my 9-to-5 job. So a buddy of mine, Terrell, who I think I've talked about on the channel before, if you're watching, buddy, what's up, had mentioned to me how he heard about these things called storage auctions. Now, this was long before shows like Storage Wars and Auction Hunters and others, which made this industry known and a big thing. And being the curious kind of person I am, I did some Googling, read up on storage auctions a bit, and after searching a lot, I found one near me, actually just a few minutes down the road from me. So the job I was working at the time had me working every other Saturday. The weeks when I worked a Saturday, I had a weekday off of my choosing. So I used this to my advantage and planned to take a day off during the week when this local storage facility was, you know, having their auction take place. Storage auctions are typically during the week, daytime during the week, which is something that keeps the crowds down, as most people are busy working a 9-to-5 job during these hours. So that played to my advantage and kept this somewhat of a secret industry from being saturated. So that, and people just not knowing about storage auctions at the time. So woke up, got my coffee, drove over to the facility. I sat in the parking lot for a few minutes, and I actually chickened out and started to drive off. A few minutes down the road, I called myself some names, psyched myself up, and turned back around and went back to the auction. So now I know nothing about these storage auctions, didn't know how they work, And I didn't want to feel silly or feel stupid going there, which is kind of why I chickened out and drove off at first. But like most of these side hustle stories we talk about, you know nothing about what you're about to do, but you plunge ahead anyways. So I walked in, I talked to the manager, he kind of explained to me how it works, had me sign a sign-in form, and told me to wait outside until everybody else showed up and he'd take us back to show us the unit. So I think maybe 4 or 5, maybe 6 other guys showed up. Like I said, in the earlier days, the crowds were really small. They took us back and showed us a unit. I told myself I wasn't going to buy a unit that day, but I was only going to check it out and kind of see how these auctions work. But I had pulled out of my bank account the last $450 I had to my name, just in case, right? Just in case an amazing unit popped up. So the auction turned out to be a silent auction. The unit to me was amazing, even though it was the first unit I'd ever been to or seen, but I felt that I could very easily get the $450 back out of that unit quickly by selling just 1 or 2 like big ticket electronic items in a unit, and I figured everything else would be icing on my cake. So to my surprise, I won the unit when the bids were unsealed, and the way a silent bid auction works is rather than the auctioneer calling off numbers and people raising their hand and bidding to where everybody knows where everybody's priced at, a silent auction, you write down your best and final offer on a piece of paper, they throw them all into a hat, they draw them out, and whoever has the highest number winds up winning. So you could wind up paying significantly more than the next person below you, but it also takes out the competitive nature of it, which I find keeps the prices a little bit lower. So I gave the man my last $450 I had to my name and began cleaning out the unit. Well, I had hit the gold mine. There was a box for a 50-inch flat screen plasma TV, and this is years back when they were still new and went for big money. This was something all of us in the auction were speculating about. Most people seeming to think it was just an empty box. I happen to feel like there was going to be a TV in the box. And the way these storage auctions work, you're not actually allowed to go in and touch anything or look at the units. So if you see a TV box, it's a guessing game whether or not the TV is actually in there. Anyhow, there were 2 other smaller flat screen TVs, some Pottery Barn bar stools and furniture, bags of designer clothes, handbags, tote bins and tote bins and tote bins full of Thomas the Train toys, which go for $5 to $15 for a couple pieces of track or a single car. I had literally hit the gold mine. There was literally an entire house in this unit. So I borrowed my girlfriend at the time's brother's truck and began cleaning out the unit. By the end of a very long day, as the sun was setting, I was almost done cleaning out the unit, and my garage was full, floor to ceiling, along with my living room. So over the next couple days, I sold off some of the higher ticket items that were easy to sell, mainly electronics. In-wall Bose speakers went on eBay for a couple $100. A large flat screen wound up going for $550 on Craigslist. So that TV alone paid for the unit and put an extra $100 in my pocket. I then slowly sold off the rest of the stuff on eBay, at resale shops, consignment shops, flea markets, garage sales. After the initial haul, I probably pulled in about $6 grand off that unit that cost me $450. And needless to say, at that point, I was hooked. So I continued visiting storage auctions on my days off, but going to dozens of units over the course of the day, driving from city to city. And that's kind of how a lot of them work. Is there might be one auctioneer who's running auctions at 12 facilities, and everybody kind of caravans from one city to the next and does auctions throughout the entire day. So you can make a whole day out of it. So I made some good money, but nothing ever matched that original first unit of mine. But after doing this for quite some time, I heard about a new television show coming out called Storage Wars on A&E. At first I thought it was kind of cool, right? Something that I was doing, they were making a show about. However, once the show had aired, auctions went from me and a couple guys, maybe a dozen guys at most, basically taking turns buying units as to not run the price on each other. It went from that to being like a minimum a few dozen people. I even saw auctions on one particular auction on Christmas Eve had 300 people. So I got to the point where I just couldn't make money going to auctions. There were too many people. Prices were way too high and way too inflated. So at first I was frustrated and I thought my side hustle was over with. I quickly realized, however, that while new people were coming in and ruining it for me, I was also presented with an idea to make money off of them. So I noticed many people were wanting to know where auctions were. So I started selling lists of upcoming storage auctions for your city. I started selling auction lists on eBay and just on forums through PayPal. I had no experience with writing or ebooks, but I wrote an ebook about how to get started in this business and sold it on Amazon and directly via PayPal on a website and some forums. I packaged it with the lists that I sold. I started a website, and unlike many of the other websites out there charging customers to look at the lists,
I posted mine for free and ran AdSense on the site to make money off ads instead of making my viewers pay. That started bringing in a couple $100s per month, the ebook a couple $100 more. This small side hustle of mine, this thing that started out as nothing more than I'm going to go check out one of these storage auctions, it sounds interesting, wound up turning into a storage auction resale business, and when that came to an end, wound up morphing completely into an online kind of e-commerce, selling digital courses and information, as well as blogging and a bit of YouTubing. So in a roundabout way, this small little Craigslist hustle is what led me to affiliate marketing, blogging, YouTubing, and even e-commerce in my current business, which today is doing over $2 million per year in sales. It really all started from checking out this first storage auction, which kind of springboarded me to doing the online stuff, which eventually springboarded me to e-commerce. So trying to make a couple $100 at a storage auction started all of this. So that's today's side hustle, guys. To recap, I decided to do a small little local storage auction resale hustle. This led me into essentially compiling and selling free information and turning that into a site sharing information and selling ebooks and courses, and later into e-commerce. So if you wanted to do something similar, there's all types of free information you can sell. The internet has made finding these types of niches and opportunities more difficult, as you can find almost anything on Google, but they are out there. Ever see sites selling like lists of foreclosed homes in your zip code? This information is free from the local county courthouse, and anybody could walk into the county courthouse and get this information. However, the people who sell it, they simply package it and market it and make it more convenient for you to get that information, and people are willing to spend good money for information they could get completely free just because they're, either don't know about it or are too lazy to go down to the courthouse. Now, you can probably think of other opportunities and niches of information which is not easily found, which you could collect and either sell or share alongside with advertising. You probably know about a topic and could write an ebook or a course on it, similar to how I used my experience in storage auctions to do this. And maybe whatever small side hustle you get started doing will lead you into something much larger. And that's something that I see happening a lot of times. You start a side hustle and maybe the side hustle doesn't work out, but it gives you another idea or it leads you to another business. And one thing can wind up in the end being something completely different and many times much bigger and better. So I'll give you one last example before I leave. Let's say you start a social media marketing agency. Maybe a few weeks in you realize you love editing videos, you have kind of a knack for video marketing, and you kind of hate other social media platforms. Well, maybe you realize video is where it's at for you, and you morph this social media marketing agency into a video editing service or a YouTube channel as a creator, or even a video marketing agency. So something that starts as one thing winds up leading you to something completely different and much better. So today's video is kind of a collection of various side hustles, all centered around this particular niche of storage auctions. Basically what I did, I compiled and packaged free information and sold it, as well as gave it away for free alongside of products to try to stir sales. Wrote an ebook, which is kind of the self-publishing side hustle. Rolled out some informational courses, which is sort of the teaching / digital course side hustle. And again, this all started from a local, little Craigslist, eBay side hustle. So in the coming days, I'll try to make a couple videos touching on this in a bit more depth, maybe throwing some ideas out there in terms of how you could do something similar. For now though, guys, signing off. If you liked today's video, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I will catch you guys on Thursday for Side Hustle Thursdays.